The welterweight title is up for grabs. The Anzac rivalry reignited. Tasman will be divided as David Martinez, the smiling assassin, meets Matt the Viper Vaile, all the way from Hamilton, New Zealand. And our main event for Eternal 98 from the Southport Sharks in Gold Coast, the home of Eternal MMA. What a card we have in store for you. We're edging closer and closer to the Centurion event of Eternal 100 in November. So the folks at the top of the bracket are vying for elbow room on that card. This has big implications the whole way through. Some veterans taking on hot and up-and-coming prospects, and a lot of new talent getting their opportunity on the big stage. Let's have a look at the card as it stands. At the top, the main event, as we said, David Martinez made the trip up to welterweight recently, where he looked goods against the veteran and Brenton Mumford. And then again in Sydney against Stephen Costello, showing that he can mix it up with the big boys and doesn't look out of place there, none whatsoever. Matt Vaile, well, he is a veteran of the welterweight division, has been fighting the who's who in the zoo for a long time now, but makes his long-awaited Eternal debut, coming off a strong patch of form in the City of Churches in Adelaide, where he disposed of his challenger. So two of the best to do it, two of the biggest unsigned talents will be duking it out at Eternal 98. David Martinez, of course, that relentless pressure style of his that's so hard to deal with over the course of 25 minutes, has been reinforced in recent times. Team Compton's, where he's showing a nasty pincher for those elbows. He's always had a good jab, but has shown a well-rounded skill set and carries power up to welterweight. He's always a bit of an oversized lightweight, and at times, took a bit of varnish off to get to the lightweight limit. Missed it on occasion, but is finding his home at welterweight. Pushing forward against the likes of Matt Vaile is never going to be easy. If you're pushing forward on Matt the Viper Vaile, where you're playing into his warehouse, a real finisher, explosive, traditional striking, of course, a BJJ black belt on the ground. And if you're pushing forward in front of him, you need to be real careful. And a dangerous man at the moment, fighting now for himself and for fun, trying to squeeze all the last juice out of the orange. And, that's a dangerous man, a guy, a veteran that's out there just wanting to have a bit of fun. He's a scary man. Although he's still got ambition, looking to wrap that Eternal belt around his waist and take it back down to Hamilton. The team at Core MMA have done fantastic things over the course of his career. So, it's Martinez coming off a hot trot, 3 consecutive wins. Win over Luke Daly down at that catch weight after he missed weight. Win over Brenton Mumford in the first was a devastating arm triangle, almost right in my lap there in the commentary booth. And then the big win over Stephen Costello, the third round. Rear naked choke finish. And it was a rough patch of form for Matt Vaile. A couple losses, a loss versus a very good Russian wrestler over in Canggu. And then a loss that I think will age well against Jono Mikhailov. We managed to drag him down into deep waters and get to finish. Jono Mikhailov, of course, doing great things in the UFC. But Matt Vaile changed a couple of things coming out of the camp and feels like he's in career best form with a late 4th round TKO finish. So look for Vaile to keep it upright, to try and find Martinez as he pushes forward, find him on the counter. And Martinez, well, the blueprint's round for him, isn't it? He'll look to take this one to deep waters and show some of that new striking credentials that he's picked up at Team Compton's. And how's this? Co-main event that stands up and delivers is Taser Malone taking on the lockjaw, Justin Van Heiden. And it's an intriguing matchup between one of Australia's most capped veterans as he returns back to featherweight, where he's had so much success. Van Heiden and Malone looking to rebound with a big win, prove his worth in the featherweight division as he narrowly missed out, split points decision against the former teammate of Van Heiden and Soleil in Sydney. 4-1 now is Taser Malone. So a real different story in this fight as opposed to the main event. This is the story of the young, hot, up-and-coming prospect in his home, Southport Sharks. You may as well Taser Malone may as well put up a post box and have his mail redirected to the Southport Sharks. Van Heerden, he's cut his teeth for a large part of his career under the bright lights there too. Interesting how this one, well, I'm interested to see how this one will play out. Obviously, Taser Malone, very pressure heavy game, weaponizes cardio, loves the push forward, push guys up against the fence, which is where Van Heerden over the course of his career has been so strong. A very different fight than the one that Malone had versus Seb Saleh, who likes to play on the outside and score points and stay out of danger. Very risk-averse game. Well, I feel like Van Heerden will want to meet him anywhere this fight goes. Van Heerden's coming off finding some true veterans. And, Kieran Joblin and Raphael Scott, Japanese fighter, the average age of those guys, well up and above 35, but a lot of fights under their belt. So, it'll be Van Heerden, he'll have a real advantage in terms of fight IQ. There's nothing that he hasn't seen other than the dark side of the moon. And Taser Malone will look to weaponize his cardio and take this one deep. I'm expecting the Miles Maweki team out at CMBT to come up with a good strategy for Van Heerden. They've shown the ability to formulate excellent game plans to upset fights. And, for mine, Taser Malone, he probably thrives as being an underdog. He probably relishes that. But in his mind, he knows that he's the goods and knows just where he's heading, and he's going to be laser beam trying to head straight through Van Heerden. A very intriguing matchup between two of the top at featherweight. Fantastic fight. Big boys looking to bang. It's another welterweight matchup with two guys in fine finishing form. Bonnie Filamahala taking on Quillan Kelly. Both lads on a real hot streak. Filamahala showing up to Logan. Stuck his man into bed before supper back in May. Quillan Kelly, an upset victory in the first round, shut out the lights. An upset right on the Gold Coast. Quillan Kelly, a ton of power, and he's shown that Adrian Pang and the team out at Integrated have equipped him with the type of weapons that can dispose of a guy super early in a fight. Dangerous finisher. Loves the shootout. You can picture him at high noon wearing a wide brim cap, cigarette hanging out of his mouth, maybe a cigarello as the clock strikes noon. He'd find himself pretty comfortably out there in the Wild West. And Philly Mahala, after an extensive amateur career, almost 20 fights here and abroad overseas, sharpened his tools. The Gamebred Academy, Ignite Martial Arts as well, and part of that Dunstan Death Squad team. Have refined his grappling and against Declan. Wolfenden and Logan showed just how dangerous he is. And he's proficient at dragging guys into a firefight, dragging them to the mat. And if he gets a sniff of your neck, he'll shut out your consciousness. And I think this is how this might play. I think Quillan Kelly is probably going to need to sit back and be patient. We can look to weather the early storm from Philly Mahala, who will no doubt try and drag this one down to the mat early. Quillan just needs to find his shot and has proven that it only takes one. Be patient if the back becomes exposed. He's got good grappling credentials too. Does Quillan Kelly a purple belt in his own right and coming from good stock too. So no matter where this fight goes, should be competitive, but I feel he'll have his best chances on the feet. Feeling the Mahala, he'll be looking to pick up where he left off in Logan by dragging this one down to the ground. An unfortunate withdrawal late with Piper and Sutcliffe being scratched from this card. Corey Sutcliffe, unfortunately, experienced a medical issue that he's receiving treatment for. It is an exciting bantamweight matchup that no doubt we'll be looking to rematch later in the year. A couple more Eternal cards to come. We've got Perth 99 in October as we bump up into and look towards the double header in Gold Coast. So hopefully we can find a home for that fight. Jake Piper, an exciting prospect now cutting his teeth as a professional, and Corey the rebellious one, Sutcliffe, returning from a period overseas. While the heavyweight division was quieter than a Guy Sebastian concert at Pacific Fear, I'll tell you what, they're kicking down the doors into the saloon, and who's going to argue if Big Ednan Larry takes a seat at the bar? Fans have been loving it. loving the big boys in recent times, and the Eternal Brass have heard the call. And again, South Court Sharks says yet another clash of the Titans. It's big Adnan Larry the Butcher, as they call him, down from Victoria, taking on Danny Hartwell, another Kiwi. Adnan Larry, a Kiwi, via way of New Zealand. And Danny Hartwell has been doing good things down there. Has an amateur record more reminiscent of a boxer, a former rugby player himself, professional rugby player. Has mixed it up and down the divisions. Has Danny Hartwell with some overseas experience too. He's fought at light heavyweight. His last fight, in fact, was at light heavyweight, but also in the amateurs up as high as super heavyweight. And trust me, I know what it's like to put on a couple kgs in a hurry. Danny Hartwell, so I sympathise with you, sir. But Adnan Larry, well, he is the cut weight to make the heavyweight limit. A real big guy. Looked fantastic in his last outing. This is Osh Jackson at Logan. When he gets on top, the big fella, he knows how to put him away. Very good top pressure, vicious ground and pound, good striking on the feet. There's never been the distance in his amateur or his heavyweight career, and I don't think he'd want to. I wouldn't want to if I was carrying around all those kgs. So, yeah, it's exciting. He either finishes or get finished. And under the recent run of form, he'll be looking to get Hartwell out of the picture early and take the judges out of this one. Hartwell will be the more agile of the two. And I would imagine he'll look to work Adnan from the outside. Try and stay clear of too many grappling exchanges early, although he does have a wrestling background, very much a wrestling style, and will look to provide some pressure as the second half, the latter part of the first round gets on, and use endurance to try and take Adnan deep. So that's an interesting fight, and one of these heavyweight bouts making their way onto the big show, always entertaining, and the Gold Coast fans have become really accustomed to them. We look forward to yet another. I'll tell you what, featherweight division's heating up. How's this one? Perfect time to add two new shiny candidates for long-term success. Both are serious, keep the crowd on their feet type skills. And Zach O'Brien versus Nikita Lapsevich on pro debut. Two guys with stellar amateur records. O'Brien, a true knockout artist, a real fan favourite. Another guy out of CMBT, cross-trains over at Bangtao MMA. Miles Moiki, Jesse Yada, and Brenton Mumford doing a fantastic job with Zach O'Brien. Really aggressive, but also a calculated striker. Loves to stand and right in front of you, square his hips up and starts to swing and ding. Of course, he'll be predicting yet another exciting KO finish. On the other side of the corner, we have Nikita Grizzly Lapsevich, experienced as an amateur, has fought some really good guys and went 7-5 in the Amis with some really close fights too. Really close fights that could have gone either way. Spent a lot of time in Thailand and South, both in Muay Thai and training in MMA. Very well-rounded, capable of striking. Absolutely. He's got quite a bread and butter style orthodox striking game that's effective and has the ability to put guys away. He won one of his fights in 16 seconds, which is an excellent claim to be able to make and whack on your resume. But you don't get the mantle, the grizzly, by doing Kung Fu Panda stuff. This guy's very much about the wrestling and the grappling. And if he can drag this one down to the grounds against a white belt in Zach O'Brien, Nikita Lapsevich will have a decided advantage there, I would feel, as he's shown to have in many of his fights. Had a bit of an up and down into his amateur career, going 1-1 both ways, in red and in the green. But I think that regular experience too, particularly last year where he was quite regular, will put him in good stead in this match. This is my pick as a little bit of an undercover sleeper fight that no doubt will deliver. And then to the opening match of the evening, the Kurta Jerker, theatrical and violent, is how you might describe John Iola, or how we might refer to himself, that's for sure, from performing arts, the martial arts. He knows how to entertain this guy. You might be familiar with him from Center Ring, where he's been our ring announcer at Eternal MMA over the years. And he's looking to admit Perry Smith maybe to the surgical theatre as he steps up to face him for the opening fight here. Smith, well, no stranger to the cage or the squared circle, aiming to prove himself on the Eternal stage. This is an entertaining one. Daddy Ravioli, as they call him, John Vaile, of course, the training partner of Darcy Vindy, a close friend and associate. Another one of the team out of the Fight Centre in Brisbane, Ben Johnson, the former champion, Darcy Vindy, will be in his corner. Those two better guys to have when the cookie crumbles and you make your professional debut. John Ailey's quite famous for his pressure style and the amateurs, where he was very successful. He's technical, he's explosive, and he's very well put together for a bantamweight. He walks around looking more like a featherweight, so he's got a ton of power and knows how to put guys away. When he's pushing you up against the cage and pinning you and riding you out, he can put on a very dominant display. Perry Smith, again, another good credentialed amateur, getting his shine now as a professional. Only young, 22 years of age. He's good amateur kickboxing pedigree. Eagles MMA, have a lot of kickboxers come out of there, and they're always strong in the wrestle. So these guys will measure up with pretty similar attributes to their styles, pretty similar values in terms of what makes them successful in the cage. So this is a great way to jerk the curtain for Eternal 98. I'll be there alongside Tanada Nathan, Kyle Nope, of course, Ellie Mack, and the whole team. Looking forward to once again pulling up the best seat in the house in the Gold Coast. Southport Sharks, no better place to do it than in the home of Eternal MMA up there on the Goldie. Make sure you tune in on UFC Fight Pass for the main card. The prelims free, www.eternalmma.com. And make sure you check out some of the 100 days of giveaways as we lead up towards the big double hitter in November. Eternal 100 and Eternal 101 coming at you. I'll see you then.